With plans for The Rock revealed and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Reacting to the recent passing of Virgil, Ted DiBiase said on his podcast, "I was really sad to hear that. Mike Jones is Virgil's real name, or was Virgil's real name. We met in the WWE office when this whole thing with the $1 Million Man started. Back then, Mike had this tremendous body and kept himself in shape, and eventually that was his role. He was the bodyguard. I would run my mouth, and if somebody wanted to say something, I would back up and say, 'Virgil, take over.' We did a thing there basically as Virgil. He gets tired of my crap and says, 'I'm not doing it anymore.' We ended up having a match. Mike was a great guy, a nice guy. To keep your body in that kind of shape takes a lot of discipline, and he was very good at that. He was much better at doing that than I obviously was in terms of keeping his body in great shape. I just wish that he had more wrestling savvy. I don't know how to put it any other way, because if he could have really wrestled, we could have had a good run. But basically, it was on and it was over pretty quick. Good old Virgil. He didn't have the charisma. It was probably over before it really started, but we continue to be friends. I would see him at some of the Comic Cons from time to time. I said, if you get booked on any of the Comic Cons and we end up there together, then please come and sit with me. I did that much, but the reason that I stopped doing it was things that Virgil had said to some fans that just wasn't right. I'm looking back at it from where I am now. He never would say that to me, but he didn't want anyone to know that he was struggling. Later, I did find out. I can't remember the guy's name that was his caretaker, but he was seeing to it that he was taken care of a little better. I just don't know. It's mind-boggling to me because I don't know who he was living with or how he was living, but I know that it was not good. It's just a sad story. When I went to WCW, that's one of the things I did. They had all these people coming over. It was kind of like the wrestlers were taking over. If you're taking over, then obviously you need security, and I said, what better security could I have than the guy who was my security for all those years? So I got Virgil booked with WCW. Clarifying his TNA wrestling contract status, Josh Alexander told PW Insider, "I see all the tweets and stuff like that of people saying I'm held hostage and stuff. And just to dispel that narrative, like, I signed that contract 2 years ago. I knew there was a third-year option. Sure, it would have been better for me if they didn't pick it up. I'm sure, so I could renegotiate something new and probably for more money and for a longer term, or I could go out in free agency and see what I could get elsewhere. But yeah, at the end of the day, of all things in this business, I want to remain and be a professional up first and foremost, and that's very important to me, and I signed that contract and I'm not being held hostage. I'm here for at least another year unless something is negotiated before then for me to stay for a longer term and stuff like that, which is, Anthem management has said that is an option and stuff that we're going to discuss in the future, but for right now, it's business as usual." Mentioning the health of El Hijo del Vikingo, Dave Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that El Hijo del Vikingo had surgery on February 29th for a ruptured ligament and torn meniscus. He was told that he could be back as early as 5 months since it's his first surgery, but the timeline is based on how much they have to repair, could be as long as 9 months. Going over the possibility of William Regal making a return to NXT programming, Fightful Select said that, for those who were wondering, as of the February 27th taping, there are no plans to feature William Regal on screen in a full-time role in the near future. As Maxxine Dupri would wind up on the receiving end of boos during a live event, Dave Meltzer added in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the wrestler noted the video shined a light on her being put on shows without the experience one expects for WWE house show performers. Aside from battle royals, she has only had 10 matches in her entire career, but the star noted fans should have the right to cheer and boo who they want to cheer and boo, and chant as long as you don't cross a line into being tasteless. Revealing the amount of influence Sting has had in putting together his retirement match in AEW, Darby Allin said this to Shaq Wrestling. Everything with the Bucks, everything. It's really awesome. If you really think about it, the fact that this company is letting this man go out on his own terms in his way with his vision. Because there's a lot of places that will straight up be like, all right, you're retiring, but we're going to make sure that you wrestle this guy, and it could be a guy you have no interest in wrestling in. And the fact that you have to tuck your tail between your legs and be a nice little good boy and get a paycheck and wrestle somebody that you have no desire to wrestle. We're talking about your career, your life's work. It's baffling to me that people are such little bitches. But yeah, anyway, Sting, he's doing it his way. He's doing it his way, and it's amazing, and it's awesome that AEW's giving him that. Speaking of Sting, he said this about his post-retirement plans, telling Bleacher Report, "I have never had a desire to do that, be a manager or an agent. I've always marveled at the guys who could hang out as a manager or an agent. I'm different. I don't know what pro wrestling was when I started. I didn't know who Hulk Hogan was. I had no interest in breaking into pro wrestling. And even after Rick Bassman tried for weeks to get somebody, I just didn't have any interest. Like Arnold, who made money in real estate before he ever started making movies, I made money in real estate long before I got into pro wrestling. Real estate is always something I have been interested in. The buying and selling of houses and dirt is a good thing. I've been outspoken about who Jesus is to me and the fact that I'm a born-again Christian and a believer since August of 1998, when my life changed drastically overnight. I'm lucky, blessed that I'm alive. I should not be here." Giving his take on the allegations of sex trafficking against Vince McMahon and WWE, former star for the company AJ Francis, previously known as Top Dollar, told Wrestling Inc., "Did it surprise me? It surprised me how blatant everything was, but obviously the allegations are very surprising. But at the end of the day, Vince is at a point in his life where it's better for him to have a chance to get he's at a point in his life where he's in his 70s, you know what I'm saying? It is time for him to enjoy his life, the rest of his life. And coming back into wrestling caused all of these problems. And at the end of the day, if everything that I read is true, that's wild, right? Very wild. And I know that other people have said the same thing, like Seth Rollins, but to me, was I surprised? Absolutely. See, people think that I had this crazy relationship with Vince, and I've only ever talked to the man 3 times ever. Literally 3 times ever. 2 times was because I was filming Most Wanted Treasures, and he was there while I was filming, and 1 time because I stood up for B-Fab when he fired her, which clearly I was right. I don't really have a relationship with him. People want to say that I hate his guts or say all these different things, but I don't have a relationship with him. Yeah, he paid me, but I don't really have a relationship with him. And this point, it's like WWE is at a point right now where they're so hot and they're so on fire. Stories like that just detract away from what they're actually doing, and I think it's a detriment to the success of the company that they're doing now, which is why I'm sure is the reason why he decided to step down. But at the end of the day, you got guys like Laurinaitis who's going out of his way to be like, yo, just so y'all know, this wasn't me. That's not a good look either, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be a lot more that unfolds from that story, and I hope that whatever happens, I hope that if it is proven to be true, that there is justice for the victims, because the victims are the people that we're not talking enough about. The victims are the people that were put in a situation that they didn't deserve, and I'm sure there will be more that comes out. When it comes to the rise of Tiffany Stratton on the WWE main roster, Fightful Select reported that Tiffany Stratton's reactions have surprised many within WWE. However, we're told that they're anticipating them more going into shows now. Unfortunately, a former WWE star has passed away. As Pat LaPrade wrote on X, sad news, Paul the Butcher Vachon died last night at the age of 86 years old. Former AWA Tag Team Champ, Grand Prix Wrestling Promoter, and WWE Wrestler. He had a great career and became a friend of mine over the years. My sympathies to his wife Dee and his family. With it previously said that The Rock's segment on SmackDown went longer than anticipated, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful added that The Rock's segment with Roman Reigns went over by more than 10 minutes. Naomi's entrance and some other things were cut from the broadcast as a result. Tiffany Stratton and Naomi were supposed to get a combined 2 segments and ended up getting 9 minutes, including commercials from entrances to the finish. It was also noted that The Rock and Bloodline took up a huge portion of WWE SmackDown on March 1st, but it wasn't produced by the usual suspect. Michael Hayes is usually in charge of producing of Roman Reigns segments, Bloodline connected segments, and even mini segments in which people set to feud with Bloodline were in. However, he wasn't listed as a producer on Friday's run sheet. Instead, lead producer Jason Jordan was listed as the producer for both segments. As one would expect, The Rock's segment went huge over time, which caused some immediate adjustments to follow. Staying on the topic of The Rock, this was said regarding plans for him to stick around in WWE. As Dave Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, expect a level of media coverage at Mania this year due to Johnson and just the popularity of WWE, like probably since the first 3 Manias mainstream. Johnson being on the show has opened up a ton of interest, and right now they consider what happened a blessing in disguise. With the belief Johnson will probably do more now because he can get to Reigns later rather than just do that match. When it comes to AEW potentially securing a new TV rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, Andrew Zarian said this on the Mad Men podcast.
Yeah, with that said, I do feel confident that the deal is happening. I do feel confident that their library is going somewhere on Max, somewhere on WBD. I don't know about Ring of Honor TV, and I don't feel like AEW is in danger of losing their TV. In fact, I think there's as far as I know, there are more opportunities for AEW on WBD properties.
Yeah.
And that has to do with outside of pro wrestling as well.
Yes.
Okay? So that relationship is good. I listen, you can listen to all the talking heads you want. You can listen to all the former wrestlers give their opinion on this and talk about what Tony's going to do and how it's going to be over. Do you know how many quotes and people that are brilliant, okay, very intelligent people in the wrestling business were saying it's over for Tony, WWE's going to WBD. Okay? That became a narrative for many people.
Yeah.
Listen, is it possible that they were told something that I don't know? Maybe. Or is it possible that it's personal opinion playing a part in this?
Yeah.
Personal opinion. I have no opinion on this.
Right.
Do I want them to stay on the short? Because I think think of the opportunity AEW has given the performers in wrestling, not just performers, producers, creative people, overall, roadies.
Yeah.
It creates a lot of jobs, and that's how I see it. And it also allows me to come here and talk about something I enjoy. But I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't work for those companies.
Right.
If it went away, that would be sad because I think it's a great product, but I don't have like a pick.
Right.
Same goes for WWE. With that said, I think they're going to stay. Their ratings are consistent. No matter how many times you want to hear that their ratings are bad, they're not bad. They're actually always in the top ranking. And the people that say that their viewership is bad do not understand the landscape of cable television.
Right.
Recalling her time on NXT, Chelsea Green had this to say on the Lightweights podcast. No, I have not always been this positive. No, definitely not. I was really negative in NXT when I first got hired by WWE. I really felt like I was given absolutely nothing. But if I had to have this mentality, maybe nothing would have turned into something. So I think it was really eye-opening when I was released, and I did go back onto the indies, and I did make a lot out of nothing. The ball started rolling, and then I realized, gosh, you could get so much more out of being positive. 100%. I could have tried to change my situations to get further in NXT. I mean, I really wasn't given that many opportunities to thrive. thrive, but still, the opportunities I was given, I could have made something out of them. I don't know how right now, but I absolutely could have, knowing what I know now on the main roster of WWE in the 3 minutes that I get in the ring. That's been blown up to now. She's the best rehire by Triple H. I only wrestle for 2 to 3 minutes. It's just what I do on my days off that make people think that it's what I do with those 3 minutes. Giving credit to an AEW star for his career transformation, Randy Orton told WrestleRant, "I was stuck. I wasn't putting as much time and effort into these promos. Then when I started working with Edge, we had a lot of history and I was able to go into our past and dig up some moments that were completely 100% factual. I'd flub a word or my grammar wouldn't be great or I would misspeak, but because of the emotion behind what I was saying, it didn't matter because they knew that I believed in what I was saying. When I started getting the reaction to me on the microphone that I'd never gotten before, I realized oh my god, I've been missing out on this for almost 20 years? Holy sh. It's so much more than wrestling. The promos are so important, and I hate that I was so late to the game on them, but just blessed that I am still around so that I can continually improve." Following SmackDown, Cody Rhodes would say this to fans in attendance.
Arizona, let's have a good time now! Okay. What do we do? I've never had this happen. Hey, quick question for you. Was Rock here earlier? What did he say? Hey, this is my cousin Berkeley. Berkeley, you were here the whole time. What did Rock say? What did he say? What did he say about these people? What do they do?
That they do cocaine and meth?
Oh my God! There's kids here!
Sorry.
Oh, boo, you can't say that stuff, Berkeley. Boo, Berkeley. It has been a wonderful night. I always enjoy coming to SmackDown. Do me a favor. We're sold out here. All my friends down here, let's say hello to our friends up there, and vice versa.
For a legal update on the situation surrounding a former WWE star, Ringside News wrote that former professional wrestler William Billy Jack Haynes, Multnomah County Court in Portland, Oregon on Thursday, February 29th. Haynes faced charges of murder in the second degree and unlawful use of a weapon following the death of his wife, Jeanette McCraft, aged 85, in Portland several weeks prior. The trial was set for April 11th. Haynes, known for his tenure in the wrestling world, including stints in the WWF, WCW under the mask of Black Blood and various other territories, was apprehended on the morning of February 8th after a 2-hour standoff with law enforcement officers. Gunshots have been reported at his residence in the Lentz area of Portland. Authorities responded to reports of a shooting at 6000 Southeast 100th Avenue around 9:52 a.m. local time that day. Haynes, 70, initially resisted cooperation with law enforcement, leading to the deployment of a special tactical team and crisis negotiators. After a 2-hour standoff, he was taken into custody, during which time the local neighborhood was advised to shelter in place. Jeanette McCraft, Haynes' wife, was discovered deceased within the residence. Subsequently, an investigation was launched, with the medical examiner determining her cause of death as homicide by gunshot wound. In an interview with Portland Fox affiliate KPTV Fox 12, Regal, a neighbor with connections to the family, described the situation as tragic, highlighting her close relationship with both Haynes and his wife, particularly in light of her recent care for McCraft, who suffered from dementia. Speaking about the WrestleMania 40 status of CM Punk, Sean Ross Sapp said this during a Fightful Select Q&A session. "I don't know. I know that he's scheduled to be on or at TV before then. They plan to have him involved in some capacity. I just don't know what that capacity is." During that same Q&A session, Sean Ross Sapp said this in regards to a return to action for Braun Strowman. "Someone in January implied that he would be back soon, and I was thinking, surely not. But then I followed up and was told that he's doing way better than anticipated. When it comes to a potential opponent for him, Braun Strowman said this to News 18. I would love to have another go at Gunther. He's one of 4 men that have ever been able to put my shoulders to the mat for 3, and I give kudos to him. What he's done with the Intercontinental Championship. He has completely elevated the title, higher than it's ever been elevated before. In my opinion, he's the greatest Intercontinental Champion that WWE has ever had, and he's brought prestige to that title." And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.